On the debt ceiling, Republicans do not want to help Democrats raise the debt ceiling. You guys voted against the CR that the debt ceiling was suspended in. It looks like Democrats it's going to be a process for them to get this $3.5 trillion reconciliation bill through, which is the argument for how they should raise the debt ceiling on their own. So the debt ceiling needs to be done by mid-October. How are Republicans not responsible for a financial crisis caused by not raising the debt ceiling if Democrats aren't able to do it on their own by mid-October?
It's perfect because they can't. Democrats control the White House, the Senate, and the House. They want to raise $5 trillion and spend in the next month. You have a maxed out credit card, and they want to get a new limit to go max out another one. In reconciliation within the Senate, they have the ability to carve out just for a debt ceiling to vote. They have a hard time doing that on their own because it may harm them in raising all that money. But they are in the majority. They control what comes to the floor. So they have wasted all this time. The only people that will get any blame for this is the Democrats and their management. We've watched crisis after crisis, from the border to Afghanistan to now putting our debt into crisis. Why would they move a bill that they know not pass? And they even took out the Iron Dome funding in it to try to get their most liberal people to vote for it. They know it's not going anywhere in the Senate. So why did they waste that time? Why didn't they take the time to wall off the reconciliation with the debt ceiling, pass it in the House and pass it in the Senate so people in America would not be harmed? Because they cannot manage. That's the only answer to the question, yes.
Just to follow up on that, the Treasury Secretary was just here with the Speaker and Leader Schumer. Can you talk a little bit more about your conversations with her last week? And at this point, is there anything that can change your mind about supporting a debt limit suspension or increase?
I'm not going to increase a debt limit to spend another $5 trillion in the next month when we have inflation and small businesses being hurt. That's not the place for it. The Democrats control the House, the Senate, and the White House. The Democrats have a mechanism already in place to use reconciliation to pass it with a simple majority of the members in the Senate. If they want to raise and spend another $5 trillion, that's what they need to do. They understand that. But what they're doing is causing havoc for the country and others. I've worked with our Secretary of Treasury when she was with the Fed when we raised the debt ceiling before. I do not see why the Democrats are making more problems with the economy simply from the fact that they're not managing. Why did the Speaker spend her time in Europe when she knew this was coming forward? Why do they only have us back here for 2 weeks when they know this challenge is before us? Why do they make it to the last minute to make it harder for our economy and others? It's all a mismanagement on their part. They control the floor, they control the Senate, they control the White House. If they want another $5 trillion of spending, they need to raise the debt ceiling.
To the Secretary?
Very clearly, yes. Secretary and I had a very good discussion. We've been through this before. I was the majority whip when we passed it the other time. My conversation with her, take Mitch McConnell at his word. Stop playing political games with this. Don't take us down this path. Start working your reconciliation. Don't waste another week like they wasted this week with a CR that was not going anywhere. They knew it. She knew it on the phone as well.
Leader McCarthy.
Yes,
the federal deficit through the first 11 months of this fiscal year was $2.7 trillion, and the federal debt is now over $28 trillion. Will President Biden or Speaker Pelosi ever balance the budget?
Not if they continue to add another $5 trillion. Our GDP is about 23. You've got a real challenge. Every great society has collapsed where they've overextended themselves. And this is exactly the path that the Democrats have put us on. The inflation that they have created with their spending when first coming into office continues to contribute to this and the harm that it'll cause to business and growth and for future generations of Americans. They're putting it as a path that deals a great deal of amount of damage. I remember listening to a number of years ago on the Joint Chiefs of Staff said our greatest threat to our nation wasn't a foreign enemy, it was the debt. The Democrats have done nothing but add to it. Yes.
But if most of this debt, 98% of it, predates President Biden's inauguration, why don't Republicans have the responsibility to help raise the debt limit?
That's a great question, but your question is not correct. Let me educate you on one point. The last debt ceiling we raised was on a date certain, not a dollar amount. So the date's certain. Every amount of money spent in the Trump administration was accounted for, and also went into the 7 months of the current Biden administration. The reason why have a challenge of raising the debt now is because the Democrats want to spend another $5 trillion. So for every family member at home that's sitting in a tough situation, that they're spending more than that they bring in, that they're using all their credit cards to live off month after month, and the credit cards have now hit that limit. What they're now asking is, can we get more credit cards and max them out in the first month of getting them? That's what the Democrats are doing, but they're making it a worse problem and situation. They control the House, they control the Senate, they control the White House. They have a mechanism that they're utilizing to spend another $5 trillion. In that mechanism also allows them to raise the debt ceiling with their own members. That's what they would have to do to make that happen. I don't believe it's smart for America to spend another $5 trillion. I'm opposed to that. I would think most every American would be opposed to that, especially the next generation.